All right, I think I finally figured this thing out. So welcome if you're going to join me in this live trial. I did a live stream a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, and I didn't have it figured out as far as the connection. I had a Wi-Fi connection. Little did I know that that's not what you should do. I've done some research. I ran a Cat5 cable from my router. So hopefully, this little test here will not buffer, and we'll see how it goes. Now, I did one a few minutes ago, and it wasn't. I don't think it was really live, but it did record, and then it posted it afterwards, like as if it was a live stream that was actually live, but it wasn't. And it looked like 3 or 4 people watched it. It was only like a minute or two long. But this one, I believe, is live. I was getting the live. The live little button showed up. So it's been good in terms of uh, the subscriber base is kind of big now. This morning I looked. I'm like 880 subscribers. I mean, just like a week ago or 2 weeks ago or something, I had just passed by the 500 mark. Yeah. Okay. So I am I'm kind of looking at my phone, and I see that I'm live. And one thing I learned on the last one is that there's a bit of a delay, and I don't know if that's something I can change in the settings, or if it's just that's just the way it is. That's the way it goes with live streams. But in any event, I'm gonna play a little bit. If anybody wants to hang out, I mean nobody's here now, but if anybody wants to hang out for a bit, I'm gonna play. Feel free to jump on. If you do join me in the middle of this and you're live, let me know where you're watching from. Um, have you been a subscriber? Are you a subscriber now? I would appreciate it if you click that subscribe button. Throw a comment in there that can help. I guess it helps the algorithm. I'm very new to doing this whole live stream and being a YouTuber, so I don't know a lot of the stuff that I should probably know. But some of the videos that I've watched said, start doing it before you're ready. Just start doing it, and your first posts are gonna suck basically. But then over time you're gonna get better at it, and that's that. So at least so far, I don't think that I'm having any buffering issues. So the idea that I ran the Cat5 cable, I think that's what we needed. So I'm just going to do a little playing, and there'll be some practice time. I'm sure there'll be mistakes, right? I'm not a professional piano player. I do enjoy the blues, right? So a lot of what I do is blues, but not everything. This is Bernie's Blues. I'm a member of Piano with Johnny. If anybody's, into piano, I'm sure you've seen Piano with Johnny on YouTube, on Facebook. As far as his ads go, I would highly recommend that platform if you're into learning how to play piano, if you already know how to play piano. It's one of the friendliest groups of people and the most supportive groups that I've encountered. So yeah, so I'm just gonna play and practice and make mistakes. And a lot of the questions I get from people who've either watched my videos here on YouTube or in the Piano with Johnny community. When I post videos inside that community, I'll have people that will ask me, like the improvisation and how to improvise. And I find that to be, not that I'm great at it, but I find that to be not as difficult as some people do, because I don't read music. So a lot of what I do is I have to just try and see what sounds good and what works. And one of the approaches that I was talking about in my previous live stream that buffered a lot, so it was hard to watch, was just this idea of like staying on a one chord for a while instead of following the structure of a song. Just like stay. Let's say we're talking about the context of a blues, a shuffle. So I might just work something real simple. And then I'll try to, mix up the rhythm in the right hand. The left hand's got to be steady. Right, so just without really changing my hand position here on the piano. Literally keeping my thumb on the C, my pinky on the A, and only reaching for the keys that are right here. Like I can go up here, but not even initially, not even like changing inversions. Just. So there I kind of left the position, but the point is just like stay really close to where you are. Now with the left hand, I say that it's got to stay steady, but you'll notice that sometimes I bring this flat third. I just think it adds something every now and then. I don't really think about doing it. I just have this every now and then. I feel like putting it in there. And you got to, of course, practice in your other chords, right? So other four chord. in F, right, you're not there. You know, you have to bring in this B flat, right? And C, they're all white notes here, except for this grace note. Or if I go up to the 7th. But when you go to F, you got to know that you're bringing in that B flat. That part of it is actually like, you know, switching between the 1 or the F, which is the 4 of the key of C, but temporarily you're in the key of F, right? So if you think of that as the 1, and then you got to go to the 4 of F, which is B flat, right? So So it's interesting, like, because I was hanging out on the F chord for a while, I kind of like switched keys, and I treated F as it was the 1. So like I was playing in the key of F instead of playing in the key of C. And for me, I'm not very experienced with playing in a lot of different keys. I find myself without like meaning to playing in the key of C a lot, just because it does make sense to me. I can spot things. I'm more experienced in the key of C, but really should practice in other keys. So I've done some work in F. I've done some work in the key of G. Because really the only new part is D. When you get to the 5, you're in D. So let's go back to C for a minute, because I think I would imagine that a lot of my subscriber base is not super advanced at the piano. Now, I could be wrong about that, right? But I just know that I'm probably, like, somebody who really knows what they're doing on the piano is probably not all that interested in what I have to share. So I'm not really an advanced piano player. I can do some things that sound a little advanced, but in terms of my knowledge, in terms of my my real abilities, I'm not that advanced. So my guess is most of the people that are hanging out with me, checking me out on my different videos that I post, are probably more in the beginner, maybe intermediate stage, and that's cool. So because I think, you know, I can probably help those people a lot more than somebody who's advanced. The advanced people could probably help me. But recently somebody commented about like tremolos, and that they didn't understand them, or that they weren't very good at them, and they wanted some tips on how to tremolo better. So what I like to do when I tremolo is I like to come in from underneath it. So like, let's say I'm on the C chord. I like to like crush from the 2 to the flat 3, and then I'll tremolo the 3 and 5. So that little lead in right there. And the way I understand tremolos is they don't have to be super fast. They just have to be like steady, or they have to be consistent. They have to be, there's another word I want to say, I can't think of it, what I'm trying to say, but they, you know, so like, I think if you're doing them, if you do a tremolo and it's like, it changes how fast it's going, it's not going to sound good. You just want to be consistent with it. And you can tremolo any two notes, right? Like even if it was an octave stretch. So the idea is find some notes that you want to, like, you know, have last a little bit longer or have a special effect to it. And when you practice, maybe make it like a practice where that's all you're doing. You're just practicing these different tremolos. But really, you're doing more than that, right? Because your left hand is getting practice too. So here's like tremoloing two different notes, right? I was on the 3 and the 5. I'm on the 5 and the flat 7. So you experiment with different notes to tremolo. For example, right? Talked about this in a previous video, but like these are thirds. And then if you take those same two notes, but instead of having the E on the bottom, I put the E up here on the top. Still the same two notes. But now those are called sixths. In this voicing, they're thirds. And that voicing, they're sixths. So that's kind of a cool way to change up the sound of what you're doing. I'll do this a lot. I'll like walk up in thirds. Here's an example of where I'm using my thumb and my third finger, right? So, I mean, I think I tremolo the best with my second and fourth finger. But my thumb and third finger does a decent job. When I'm walking up in 6, what I was about to show you, there's thirds. Now it's in 6th. So when I do it in 6, I'm obviously doing thumb and pinky, right? Because of the inherently, that's how you're playing the 6th. So one of my piano teachers, George Rossi from Syracuse, New York, he instilled some things in me which I've done a little bit of work with, but haven't probably done it justice the way he would have liked me to. Like he taught me this thing, and it probably has a name, but basically like when you're walking up in thirds, and the way that he taught me to remember that is like when you first start it, you know, you look at the relationship from how each finger is moving up, and you go, so from like, you go from here to here, what's really happened? Well, the thumb went up 2 half steps, right, or a whole step. But what did the second finger do? it only went up a half step. So to get it started, you think, like, I guess in any key, right? Like if you just understand like the mathematics behind it, in any key, you're gonna, when you go up in thirds, your first movement is a whole step in this thumb, and the it's a half step on the other one. But then from there, it's all half steps. And then if you continue on, it's all half steps. And then if you continue on, it's still half steps until right here. Now this finger is only a half step, but this one is a whole step. So kind of like in the beginning where the thumb takes the whole step, and this other finger, if I just keep the same fingers, right? Whole step in the thumb, half step in the middle finger, and then all half steps. And then now this middle section is all half steps. Whoops. And then the final section is all half steps until the last, where the middle finger is going to take a whole step. So again, right, and there's that whole step that the middle finger took. So like he would have me practice like this. I'd be doing a shuffle in the left hand, or maybe let's even just say I just held like maybe an octave, right? So like doing that drill, you start to get it under your fingers, right? And then you can go through the circle of fourths, or circle of fifths, right? If you know anything about that, you know that when you go in one direction, it's the circle of fifths, and when you go in the other direction, it's the circle of fourths. This music theory has never been my strong point, and it used to like really confuse me a lot, but I'm starting to get a grasp of it the more I try to pay attention to it, right? So let's just go through this a little bit. So now if we apply the same thing here, oh no, I'd be here, wouldn't I? Okay, so you're gonna go the whole step with your thumb, right? Because now we're in F, and then here, let me do it with better fingering. So hey, Charlie's chatting in with me. Let me read what you're saying here, Charlie. This is very relevant to me as I taught myself, but there are bits missing from my style. Things like the tremolo and walking up in thirds, sixths. Cool. All right, man. So, yeah, so what I was just starting to do then is like move what we did here in C. And then now we're in F. So the first part, as we mentioned, whole step on the first finger on the thumb. But then when you move up, it's only half steps. After that. Now all half steps. And then all half steps until the final one. So right here. This G, that was a whole step, right? And so it doesn't matter what key you're in, right? If you know that pattern, right, of just moving chromatically, these half steps, and understanding that in the very beginning, there's a whole step in your thumb, and there's a half step in the other finger, and then at the end, it happens with the other finger. Your microphone is perfect, but the piano cuts out, like compression thing. Oh, okay. Let me see. Give me a second, Charlie. Let's see if I can figure that out. Okay. Somebody else. Somebody's speaking in a different language, and I don't know what your language is. Maybe. Is that French? What is that? I don't speak French. Hablo un poquito español, pero no French. Let's see. So I'm going to just see if I can change the settings on my piano. I don't know. I'm not that experienced messing around with settings. I'm going to try one other thing that I think might help. Let me know if that made a difference. I'm bringing in the sound from my piano directly. The way I have it connected with a MIDI cord or with a USB. I'm getting the virtual keyboard. And normally I was just taking the input in my audio mixer, but now I'm kind of bringing in a second source of the piano sound. So if that sounds good, let me know, or if that sounds worse, let me know, and I'll turn it back off. So to get back to it, let's look at the walking up in thirds. All of that was chromatic steps, right? And then still again, then jumping a whole step on this one. And then we go up to the 4. And then if we went up another 4th, we'd be on the B flat. Right, so I think you get the idea. Like, you can go through the whole circle of fourths, doing your walk-ups and thirds, and all you have to really be thinking about is the rules of how to move, right? Like, I don't actually think, what notes am I pressing? Like, it doesn't even come into my conscious thought. Like, I'm not thinking, okay, this is a C and an E, and then this is a D and an F, right? I'm not thinking that. I'm just thinking half steps and whole steps, and I don't care what the note is called. So anyway, Charlie, if you're still with me, I'm not sure. It does say I have three people. If you're still with me, can you just give me like chat, type in if it sounds good? Oh, it sounds a bit better. Now it's got some reverb. Huh. The next thing I have to do is I got to get a little bit more knowledge with like doing this scene changes, right? Because stuff is showing up. I see on my stream. Like when I look at something, it kind of shows up on what you guys are seeing, which shouldn't really happen. So but I was talking a little bit about tremolos earlier. You see how I come in off a whole step below where I'm going to tremolo from. So if I'm going to tremolo here, right, the A and the C, I'm going to come in on the G and crush from the G to the G sharp right into the A. And even that's something that you should practice, like just start really slow and then try to even it out. Get fast but even. Yeah. So that's my bit on tremolos and walking up in thirds. I haven't put a lot of practice in walking all the way through that, excuse me, in sixths. Yeah, see, so in sixth, when you start this, normally the first move in the thumb when you're doing it in thirds is to go a whole step here and a half step here. But if you're doing sixth, it's kind of like the reverse, right? It's a half step here and a whole step here, and then you can continue on in half steps. Continue on chromatically. Charlie is asking, do you ever use a metronome or just rely on the left hand? I do use a metronome from time to time. Probably not as much as I should, because it obviously it's going to really lock you into real time. And a metronome to me sometimes gets very, it just gets under my skin. So what I might do is put on like a drum track, which essentially is the same thing. It's keeping a beat, but it just sounds better because it's like a drum. So let's see if I can do something like that. Let me find. I never know how to do that on this keyboard. My piano at home, I can turn on my drum pretty easily. Let's see. I have this little chart here that teaches me how to apply the settings. Rhythm settings. Let's do shuffle 1. Eyes are not as good as they used to be either, so that's gonna be shuffle 1. How do we do that? Rhythm. Oh man. That's so fast too. I don't know if that's really what I want. I might have chose the wrong one, that's why. I don't know how to work it. And I don't want to screw around right now, but yes, like that's a good way to practice. And then I would have to figure out how to slow it down on this machine. You got to know all the right buttons to push on this. This piano, by the way, is a Yamaha P125. It sounds pretty good. All right. You know, when I decided to do this live today, it was really just about making sure that I could get a live to be smooth without buffering, and I think all I had to do was change the connection. Right, I was doing Wi-Fi, and now I'm connecting with a Cat5 cable right to the router. You know, my most popular video on my channel, it's got like 25,000 views, which is incredible to me, is my 1950s rock and roll, which I learned in the Piano with Johnny group. And let me play a little bit of that right now. Second here. I messed up a little bit there, but wasn't sounding as loud to me. Oh man, that walking bass line. Hard to do. Let's see. What are you guys typing now? I like the old style. New Orleans rock and roll. Yeah. I'm a big New Orleans piano blues fan. Huge. Big Dr. John fan. John Cleary, obviously James Booker, Professor Longhair, all these guys. I was fortunate enough to see Dr. John play live on 3 separate occasions. Last year, about a year ago, I got to see John Cleary play in Miami. Next month, I'm going to see him in Boca Raton at a place called the Funky Biscuit. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be good. I wish I knew what Loop Cam VS Ableton Live is saying because I don't speak that language. Boogie woogie. Boogie woogie. Yeah, so that 1950s rock and roll has a similar like kind of feel to boogie woogie, but the way I understand it is it's rock and roll because it's played straight. It's not swung. And so therefore it's considered rock and roll, not boogie woogie. Like, you know, like that's just straight. Oh, what happened to my overhead camera? It just kind of went out on me. Let me see. What's going on here? I don't know, guys. I lost my overhead camera. But this is played straight. Whereas, like, you know, when it's swung, I don't even know. Like long, short, long. And I've yet to actually learn a boogie woogie left hand. I think it's like similar to, it can be that, but there's like better ones that I want to learn soon. So many things I want to learn, just not enough hours in a day. Anyway, how long I've been going here? Three minutes. Okay. Well. So I'm kind of out of ideas to discuss right in the moment. I do plan on making a video that's not live. Anyway, Charlie, you mentioned New Orleans style. I love the song Tipatina, right? That works with the rumba left hand. And Tipatina is typically played in F, or at least originally played in F. So. I should really practice this more often so I'm better at it. My camera is back on. I don't know what's and now it's back off. It's like coming on and off on its own. I've got technical issues, guys. So let me talk about the rumba left hand. If you're not familiar, it's really just so let me do it simple. just taking, outlining the 1, the 3, and the 5. Yeah, Dr. John, definitely. Now, Tipatina is originally by Professor Longhair, but Dr. John and probably every New Orleans artist has done their version of Tipatina. Sometimes my microphone gets in the way. I can't see my keyboard, and I'm not so good where I can just play without looking all the times I have to look. When you walk up. Okay, so those of you that have hung out with me for a little bit, I appreciate it. I like the chat we've had, and I'll do more of these in the future. I'll try to get my my thoughts more organized and get my technical issues squared away. Now I've got some of the things fixed, but this camera up here, I don't know what its issue is. Anyway, I will sign off for now, and we'll chat again soon. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your Sunday.